part 2 of our interview with Artistic Director of Pasadena Playhouse, Sheldon Epps. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you.
So we talk a lot about diversity and inclusion here on Theater Corner. And just last month, American Theatre, there was an article about secessions, artistic directors. There's 20 theaters, actually, where they're trying to fill these positions. And yourself, it talks about yourself and 2 other persons of color are only heading major theaters right now.
Right.
Why are there so few persons of color heading theaters?
Well, it's a really, really important conversation in the American theater right now. It does seem that, as with me, there are suddenly a number of artistic directors who have decided to step down from their position. So suddenly, the field is going to be looking at filling not just 1 or 2 positions of artistic director, but 20,
right.
25, 30 maybe over the next couple of years. And while theaters have certainly concentrated on, and in fact, I believe, been successful like this theater at broadening the diversity of the programming and the audiences, it is true that there are still very few men or women of color who are actually leading theaters as artistic directors, and some of the few are about to step down. So I think it's vital that as boards and search firms look at filling these positions, that they really broaden the field of candidates. You know, a problem is not that there aren't people out there who have the skill, the intelligence, and the vitality to do these jobs, but they're not in the current pipeline.
I see.
You know, a search committee, a board at a theater, only has the opportunity to evaluate what's put in front of them.
Exactly.
You know, here's 10 candidates for this job. If none of those 10 is a person of color, that's probably going to be the end of that conversation for that particular position. So 2 things have to happen. Those directors who are interested in leadership of a theater, you have to knock on the door yourself. You have to keep up, you have to read American Theater Magazine, you have to know where those positions are going to be available, and come knocking loudly on that door.
Right.
Get yourself in front of the search committee. Get yourself to the search firms. Insist on being seen.
I see.
And the search firms have to do their job. They have to hear the knocking. You know, they have to open that door and get more people of color into those pipelines. It's what I call passive segregation. You know, I don't think boards and search firms are saying, no, absolutely not. We will not consider a person of color. It's just that it's not put before them.
Right.
You know, and often, many times, selection of a new artistic director is based on who's worked at the theater before, who's directed at the theater before. And frequently, there are not a lot of people of color with the additional ability to run a theater who have worked at that theater. So that passive kind of door slamming is not deliberate, but the result is just as odious. So it has to change.
So you've done a phenomenal job in that regard here at the Pasadena Playhouse. Do you think there's a direct correlation with who's at the top in terms of person of color and what the staff, how diverse the staff looks, the permanent staff of the theater?
Oh, definitely. I think it affects everything about an arts institution. When I first came here, as I've often said, I was down in the beautiful courtyard. I was often the only person of any color and the only person under 60 to walk through the courtyard and into the theater. So certainly that was changed by the programming, by the work that was on the stage. But I think that the theater became a more diverse institution overall. The work on the stage, the audiences, the staff, the overall community of the theater changed because a person of color was in a leadership position. So sometimes when other artistic directors are managing directors have asked me, how do we accomplish what you've accomplished at this theater, which is the diversification of our audiences and of our programming. And I said, well, you may have to give up your job and hire somebody who looks like me.
Correct.
Because
Correct.
this theater has very much survived in part due to the loyalty of the African American community in Greater LA, who said, I'm going to go and I'm going to support this brother.
Right,
You
right,
know?
right.
And of course I'm going to go when he's doing the August Wilson play and when he's doing a black musical. But I'm going to be there at other times, when he's doing an Oscar Wilde play, or when he's doing a Neil Simon play, or the full canon of theater. I recognize the fact that many people in the black community in this town are coming to support this artistic leader because he's a brother.
Right, right,
He's part of
right.
I'm part of their family. I'm part of their community. So as American communities change, that's definitely got to be a key to the hiring in leadership positions for American theaters.
So in that same sense, I imagine, so if there are more persons of color on the board as well.
Yes, yes. And again, I think it all goes together. I can't imagine a black artistic director accepting an all-white board of any institution. You know, where one of the first things that he or she would want to change is diversifying the board.
Right, right.
And I think that can also come from board members like yourself.
Right.
You know, when and if Barry Edelstein decides he's ready to move on, there will need to be a voice on the board that says, okay, we in this search process for artistic director, for managing director, we need to broaden our thinking. You know, we need to apply that Rooney rule and make sure that we're not making a decision about who's going to fill these positions until we've seen some people of color.
Wow, well said. I love that. I appreciate that. And so, for Sheldon Epps, what do you have coming up on the horizon? What are you going to dive into here very soon?
Well, I've happily given myself a little rest and relaxation over the past few months. I did a very successful production of Dreamgirls down at Houston, Tut's Theater in Houston,
right.
in the springtime. So I sort of gave myself the summer off to just relax a bit more and figure out some things and to see what emerges. People kept saying, what are you going to do next? And I said, I'm leaving myself open to the universe. So fortunately, the universe is delivering some nice things, including the possibility of directing a movie, a film.
Very nice.
A feature film. Possibly doing an opera.
Oh.
A contemporary opera about the life of Martin Luther King is something I'm exploring and very excited about because I've never done an opera. I'm going to do a production of Blues in the Night, which is sort of a signature piece for me that I have not directed in many years, but I'm doing that at the Wallace Annenberg Center next spring. And then I think about writing a book.
Oh, okay.
A book about some of the topics we've been talking about. And I've had the good fortune of working with a lot of wonderful people and have some great funny and profound stories about that, but also just about the life of a black American man in the American theater and the specific challenges that I have faced and that others face and some of the opportunities and obstacles that come along with that.
Wow. Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming to...
Are we finished already? Well, thank you. It's been a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you so much for coming to Theater Corner, and so much respect and love for you. I love what you've brought to Pasadena Playhouse, as well as to theater and television in general, to that creative space.
Oh, thank you.
We're better for it as a result.
Thank
and
you.
so we'll be looking out for that book.
Okay. I'll get on it, just for you, Michael.
Very good. Very good indeed. And so this concludes another episode of Theater Corner, and we'll see you next time.